ultimately, the majority of your clients are going to care more about how you treat your kids and how valued they feel in your business than they're going to care about whether or not you have the most blinged out uniform available. The reality is that those things were me just trying to keep up with the Joneses. Instead of buying fancy things first, focus on building a financially sound business that is supporting itself. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cheer Biz Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Cotton, and today we are going to be diving into 3 things that I once thought would grow my cheer gym, but ultimately didn't. Now, before we get into the episode, as always, please head on over to Facebook and make sure you have joined Cheer Gym Owners on Facebook or All-Star Cheer Coaches and Owners, and you are actively participating in those groups. We have amazing content going on, and I don't want you to miss it. Number 2 is please get registered for our conference in Dallas, June 20th through the 22nd of 2025. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Tickets are going fast. We've been kind of slow, but now I think we're getting very close to only having 100 tickets left. And to be honest, I haven't even registered my staff. So make sure you guys get signed up for our conference. You are not going to want to miss it. It is going to be absolutely amazing. I'm going to be there teaching, and we've got some exciting announcements that are going to be coming out about Dallas and while we are at Dallas. Now, let's get into the episode. So I've been in business now for 12, going on 13 years actually, since Tori and I took over the gym. And I made all the mistakes humanly possible. And there were a number of things that early on in my career or throughout my career, I mistakenly thought would be the things to grow my gym and ended up just being complete distractions and absolutely the wrong things. And number 1 is buying fancy stuff with the hopes that that was going to build my client base versus investing in things that actually grew the gym. I thought that, I needed to have the nicest equipment and the fanciest uniforms and the most bling and the best looking graphics on social media. And I needed all of those things, to get everyone to come to our gym. And I needed to have a ton of social media followers. So it was way more about, like getting everyone to follow our Instagram and posting really catchy, trendy, cool content and buying the newest piece of equipment and making sure we had the coolest practice outfits and all of those things. And the reality is that those things were me just trying to keep up with the Joneses, meaning, I would see XYZ gym did XYZ thing and well, we need to do that too. Or wow, they got that sparkly sports bra. We need a cuter sparkly sports bra. Or they got that piece of equipment over at my competitor's gym. Well, now I need that piece of equipment and I need 2 of them. And all of those things were not really growing my gym. Is there a time and a place to get things like that? Yes, absolutely. But oftentimes that singular mat that you may be buying is hard to tie to how you're going to get a direct return on your investment. And the reality is that although you have parents that care about pretty uniforms and you have parents that care about the best practice outfits and you have kids who care about those things, ultimately, the majority of your clients are going to care more about how you treat your kids and how valued they feel in your business than they're going to care about whether or not you have the most blinged out uniform available. They may like it. And I've heard the complaints over the years from clients since I have gone a different direction of, we want more bling. We want more of this. We want more flashy items. But at the end of the day, if people are leaving over a singular thing like that, and that's what they're citing, they're going to XYZ gym because their uniform has more sparkles, or they're training at this tumbling gym because they have this one piece of equipment that's better than yours, then there's somewhere else you are missing the mark that doesn't actually relate to that singular thing. Now, am I saying that products can't be valuable? No, I'm not. Am I saying that equipment can't be helpful? Absolutely not. I own 2 T trainers. Were they cheap? No. Do we use them almost every single day in our tumbling classes? Yes. Do they help our athletes get better? Yes. Did I operate for almost a decade without a T trainer? Yes. So although it's a amazing creature comfort, it is not the be all end all to growing your gym. And rarely are people looking at it and going, oh my gosh, the only reason I'm going to that gym is because they have that piece of equipment. So instead of buying fancy things first, focus on building a financially sound business that is supporting itself, and then build in a budget to buy those kind of fancy things. Can you buy the coolest, prettiest uniform in the entire world? Yeah, you absolutely can. You just have to budget for it correctly. And too often I see gym owners that are like, well, we gave our uniform provider our maximum budget. And I will tell you, in my experience, only in my experience, the uniform providers will send you like 2 or 3 different options, and they'll send you one that is in your budget or maybe even a little bit under, but it's not super cute. And then they'll send you one that's like a little bit over and is decent. And then they'll send you one that's like $50 per uniform over your budget, and it's gorgeous and stunning and it has everything you could ever possibly ask for, because they know, like I know as a salesperson, that that's likely that people are going to go, oh, I'll take the hit. I'll take the more expensive one. But when you're talking about a $50 increase per uniform, the average gym is not truly building in even a $50 markup on what they charge their clients for the uniform. So if they said, hey, here's my budget, this is what I charged everyone, that $50 doesn't actually exist necessarily in a lot of gyms' budgets. And it certainly didn't for me when I was first getting started. And I fell prey to this exact sales tactic, which is a very smart sales tactic. In fact, I respect it. I just didn't know what was happening. And so now I know, okay, when I give them my budget, I'm going to lowball. And I know they're going to give me multiple options. They're going to say, well, if you increase your budget by X, and it ends up still being under my budget. And so I'm still staying within my plan financially. And I'm just using that as one example. There are a variety of things that relate to this. And this even could relate to, thinking you need the most expensive music or the best choreographers to grow your gym. And although those people are amazing, I've worked with some of the best choreographers in the country. I've worked with amazing music producers. Are they worth it? Do they have value? Yes. Does that value necessarily translate to growing your gym and having more clients? I don't actually think that there's a true correlation there, or there might be a correlation, but certainly not a causation of that is going to get you more members. Number 2 was, I've talked about it in the book, but keeping or making your prices low to attract more clients. This does not grow your gym. It is not the proper method. You need to set your pricing correctly. Now, that doesn't mean you need to gouge your clients. It doesn't mean you need to charge people excessive fees, but you need to set your pricing correctly. And you can't just focus on being the bargain budget item. That's not what you can be. And it's honestly not going to get you more customers. It might get you a few more in the short term, but long term, it is just not the move. And I've seen it tried thousands of times, and I've not seen it be successful in a competitive cheerleading gym. There's a couple reasons. Number 1 is cheap clients don't actually stay longer. They just have a higher expectation for less financial contribution. So when you have clients who are very focused on, like, you got to come down, $5, $10, those kind of things, that makes a huge difference to them. They're very much monetarily driven, and they're not truly value driven. They're not seeing the value of what you're providing. And so they're price focused. And when they're price focused, those are going to be the people that are going to, you close because you have a massive snowstorm, and they're going to be the first email in your inbox saying, when am I going to get a partial refund for the class that you had to cancel, as opposed to, here's your makeup token, etc. Additionally, you're not Walmart. You're not doing your rollback pricing. You're not doing burnout math. You're not doing these things where you're focused on crushing the competition by being the biggest and the lowest priced, so everyone wants to shop with you, and you can make marginal returns on the items, which equal massive profits in the end because you are doing such a significant volume. You're not a volume-based business. You can't be. You are a availability, you are a supply demand style business, and the supply of your cheer gym is quite finite. You only have so many hours in a given day, and you only have so many hours in a given day to do youth services. Most of us are open between the hours of like 4 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. That's like the average gym. Maybe you start at 3, but most of us are not doing daytime hours. We're stuck in the evenings because school. And so we have to wait for school to get out for our clientele to be available, which means you're limited by your square footage, your time available, and your number of staff. And so if you focus on building, bargain prices, you can't do those thousands of transactions every minute that the McDonald's and the Walmarts and those like very small margin companies run on, because you can't operate that way. You can't bring in enough money. So being the bargain option is just not the approach. Now, are there times to run a deal to get someone in the door and get interest? Sure, absolutely. But that's not ultimately the best strategy long term. Additionally, high value families don't shop on price. They shop on trust and results. So those people that are willing to pay those higher prices, they're looking for the value in your business. They're looking for trust and communication and collaboration, and they're looking specifically for results. Your most difficult clients, in my experience, are the ones who pay the least. They're the ones who complain more and who have more issues. And so I want to help you avoid that. Have those people who are more than willing to pay the higher rate, so you can be well taken care of. You can be financially successful. You have the time and the energy and the finances to deliver for that client, and they're going to be less of a headache. So we want to make sure that we're not setting our bargain basement pricing, and we're not structuring ourselves to keep prices low to grow our business, because it's a swift path to zero. You can essentially always increase prices. The upward limit is limitless. The downward limit is limited. And so if you can't go below zero, you can't do a negative. I mean, I guess you could pay people to take classes in your gym, but that would be wild. We can't go much lower than zero from a business perspective. And so if you get into that competitive pricing model of like, I just am going to be lower than my competitor, it's a swift path to the bottom and a swift path to going out of business, which is what I certainly don't want for you. Number 3 is doing everything myself because no one else can do it as good as me or will care as much. And the reality is, I thought that being a superhero would prove that I was committed, would prove that I was the best owner in the gym or in the world. And I had it. That's what it took. It took grit. It took grind. It took push. And I'm not saying it doesn't take those things at all, but all it proved was that I don't treat myself as well as I would treat an employee. I thought that I could just do everything and not make any considerations for the fact that, you actually need to sleep and you need to lead and those kind of things. And the reality is that delegating isn't lazy. Delegating is really, really hard. And in fact, doing everything yourself is lazy. And I'm talking to myself, you guys, like I'm looking in a camera, but I should be looking in a mirror because I still don't do this perfectly. We're moving into a new building right now. And I'm still, Tori's still over there pulling out the sprayer and spraying the walls. Why? Because, I'd have to teach someone else how to use the sprayer. And I'm still over there, building things and putting stuff together because I know how to do it, and teaching someone else how to do it is harder. But believe it or not, the other day, I had one of my level 4 kiddos. It was right after Summit, literally right after we got back. She said, "Hey, I have to do a project for school. Can I put together a group of the team to come in and help you put together the floor?" And instantly my brain was like, "No, you're not going to be able to help. Like, that's not going to be useful." And I had to stop myself and say, you know what? Let them do it. Like, 1, you're going to be helping your athlete out with their school project, but 2, like, you need help. And so all of these girls and one of my boys from the gym, and he's like one of my level 3 boys. So he's not like one of my big, huge, he's getting bigger and stronger, but he's not like one of my seniors in high school boys. All these girls came and they helped me unload an entire trailer and move all of the pieces one by one into the gym and lay the floor. And they killed it. They absolutely crushed it. And I didn't even have to be the one doing all the work. I helped with a few things, but mostly I delegated to them and they crushed it. And it was so worthwhile. And they thought it was really fun. Number two is like your team, your staff, your people, they can't grow if you're never willing to loosen up on the reins. They can't get better. They can't get stronger. They can't learn more. And they're never going to be able to care as much as you because you've never allowed them into the inner circle. You have to be willing to let go. You have to be willing to let people come in and help you. And you're not actually that good at everything. You just can forgive yourself when you make the mistake, and or you only have to be mad at yourself and you don't have to correct your employee and have the difficult conversation. So you're really just avoiding difficult conversations by trying to say you're good at every single thing under the sun. So we ultimately need to be delegating within our businesses. It is the only way to truly grow, because you can grow up to a point when you're doing everything yourself, and then there's always going to be an upper limit. Like, it doesn't matter how skilled you are. It doesn't matter how much capacity you have. There's always going to be an upper limit. And really what's limiting you is your inability to level up how you lead and how you execute. Like, I can run a cheer gym by myself. I absolutely can, but there's an upper limit there where I then have to start having employees, and then I have to start managing those employees. And when people are failing in that circumstance, it's really like, yes, sometimes it could be because you hired the wrong people, but most of the time it's because you haven't leveled up your skill sets as an owner, as a director in those leadership style positions. And so these were 3 mistakes I made early on in my business that were holding me back, were keeping me from growing and scaling my company. And the reality is that we've learned many of these lessons through action. So, and I don't just pull from the lessons that I've learned from myself. I also pull from lessons Danielle's learned and Shelly's learned and Rihanna's learned. And in fact, almost all of these, we've all made these mistakes. Like, every single one of us has felt we needed to get this piece of equipment to be successful. Every single one of us has done everything ourselves. Every single one of us has, tried to do low pricing to attract customers. Like, we've all been in that ballpark. Some of us have done it more significantly than others, but everyone's done it. So you're not alone if you've made these mistakes. And they're very easy to change and pivot. If you want to invest in something, invest in your own knowledge, invest in growing your staff, invest in things that are going to actually grow your business. I have gym owners that are way more willing to pay $18,000 to bring in choreographers for their teams. But then if you tell them that they need to spend $299 a month to get a functional website, they're like, whoa, that's way too expensive. So what are we really valuing here, right? Invest in the things that are going to grow your gym. And the things to invest in are your knowledge, your staff's knowledge, and things that grow your program, like marketing, like your website, like your email systems, like your CRM, a CSM, those kind of different things that are going to actually, or a CMS, things that are going to actually help you run and grow your gym. If you want to figure out how to set your pricing, you got to check out my book. I talk about all of this in Charge What You're Worth. I talk about why you shouldn't keep your prices low. I talk about how to set your prices. I walk you through the strategies and techniques to help you raise your prices without gouging your clients and without treating them poorly. And if you want to stop doing everything yourself, then you have to find the right team and elevate them. And you do that by elevating your game. Read books, listen to more podcasts, listen to my podcasts about leaderships. Come to our conference in Dallas, where we're going to have, I'm sure, at least 1 or 2 classes about delegation, about how to engage your staff, about how to develop your subordinate leaders. And if you're really willing to take all of these things to the next level, then join the Next Generation Gym Owners Academy. Join what we do, get a business coach who's going to help you work through all of these things. There is nothing that is off limits to our business coaches and their clients. So if you have a question about staffing, we'll work on it. If you have a question about delegation, mentorship, how to be a CEO, how to work on your finances, how to set your budget, all of it. We are experts in those things, and we can help you grow your gym. So I hope you've gotten something out of this. I hope you've enjoyed listening about my failures, of which there have been numerous, and they are numerous and plentiful. So I hope you enjoyed yourself. Thank you for joining us, and we will catch you on the next episode.